Nostalgia, a wistful or excessively sentimental yearning for return to or some past period or irrecoverable condition. That's the Merriam-Webster definition of the word. And I guess for many of us, the term nostalgia evokes images of childhood, of cinema and buttered popcorn, of vaporwave sunsets, I guess, and 80s music or something. I'm not sure. However, what's very interesting about nostalgia is where it comes from. Nostalgia is a Greek word. It's a combination of the word nostos, which means yearning to return home, and algos, which means pain. So the original meaning for nostalgia is the physical pain of wanting to return home, aka homesickness. So that's quite an interesting take on the word, how physically hurting because you want to return home is changing it of feeling yearning for a more innocent age, which can be childhood or teenage years or early young adult life or any period of time that you were happy, or even yearning for periods of time you've only seen on TV. And that's an interesting take about our times, and I guess that we'll have a lot more nostalgia in the coming years because things are definitely not good for the past 2 or 3 years, and I believe they're getting worse. However, I mentioned the term nostalgia culture, and I want to get into that. Nostalgia culture is basically more of a term I came up with, yes, you can quote me on that, I guess, where a lot of entertainment, a lot of references, a lot of pop culture relies on memories of that more innocent age, relying on the past to live in the present, to entertain yourself. I mean, nostalgia was always a big selling point. It's what South Park called Rememberberries. I think it was on the episode was parodying Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which was I mean, if you think The Last Jedi was a bad movie, oh boy, Crystal Skull was definitely a brutal movie, and I think that the South Park depiction of it was perfectly, absolutely perfect, especially for people like me who are huge Indiana Jones fans. So the idea is that Hollywood or any other entertainment industry is dangling your fond memories of childhood, of a more innocent time under your nose and saying, come buy or consume this new thing because it will make you feel like it was in when you were younger and it was awesome. And so you often do. That's why nostalgia sells. And when we get into our modern era of entertainment, when everything is a reboot, a remake or a spin-off of a popular franchise from the 80s and the 90s, then we talk about nostalgia culture. I mean, there are so many Star Wars stuff out there, and of course there's the Marvel stuff out there where I guess you can call it nostalgia for the pre-COVID era or something at this point. Or all those reboots that can be controversial or inconsequential, and you get the point that we live in nostalgia culture. So we get the title of the video, why nostalgia culture breeds toxic fandoms. The idea of a toxic fandom is not new. Toxicity was always part of fandom, and there are no two ways about it, alright? Let's just be frank, and with bad apples in every group, and fandoms did have their bad apples, and because fandoms were often very forgiving with people in there, they were for people who were bad at socializing, members of fandoms tended to ignore bad behaviors or not openly call them out. However, what's the problem with nostalgia culture? Nostalgia culture relies on homesickness. Let's just say it's the most first world definition of pain, but it's the pain of wanting to return to a more innocent age. So when, for instance, The Phantom Menace came out, it was a prequel to the Star Wars, and a lot of people who grew up watching the original trilogy went and saw this movie, and God save their souls. that movie was crap. No matter what you say about the Disney Star Wars, The Phantom Menace was by far the worst Star Wars movie, and people were definitely not too happy about this. There was a promise for them. The promise was that they are going to feel like they watched A New Hope or Return of the Jedi. Watching what they watched probably caused some pain. So yeah, if you lure in people with pleasure, there's a good chance they feel pain. That's how it happens. And I remember there was a lot of outrage, especially at Jar Jar Binks back then. And I mean, people made careers out of calling out all the stupid in that movie, like the Red Letter Media guys with the Mr. Plickett reviews. So yeah, it's not like people were not outraged by how awful that movie was. But at the same time, we talk about what was it, 1999, 2000. People hated the Star Wars prequels, the first movie. But at the same time, they were expecting the Matrix sequels because the Matrix was such an awesome movie. And then there was the sequels, but that's another conversation, alright? I guess some people were expecting those upcoming Lord of the Rings movies by this Peter Jackson guy who did Brain Dead or Dead Alive, one of the goriest splatter comedies ever, because it makes sense, and maybe they have a bit of a hope that it will be decent. It wasn't decent, it was awesome. If you were a kid and your dad took you to watch that excrement, you're probably like, oh, my dad is such a boomer, and I watched this awful movie that he loved as a child. But there is Harry Potter I love. So my point is that, yes, there were always those member berries and bad remakes, sequels, reboots, whatever. Or even the direct-to-video, gender-bent or race-bent versions of some comedy or drama or adventure, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. And yeah, people were like, okay, this happened because there was a lot of fresh franchises, there were a lot of good stuff coming out, there were new fandoms to be involved with, there were new things coming out all the time. It was not like you were in a circle of endless promises of nostalgia bait that maybe were dust. So there was some outrage, but at some point you were like, alright, it was not good, never mind, there's this new good thing I did like, and this is how more fandoms were created. However, nowadays we live in a nostalgia culture, meaning that a lot of the stuff promoted to us are member berries. They are probably old franchises or old movies, old books, popular stuff from the past that are presented to us as new versions, as more modern takes. Lord of the Rings is nostalgia. That should make you feel very old, because I remember going to the movies to watch Lord of the Rings back in 2001, and we're 21 years after that, and we have a prequel that's not a prequel of those movies on Amazon, and a lot of outrage about it, which, yes, basically proves my point. Because it's not the real deal, it's not the book that people loved or the movies people my age loved, and that means that we don't have time to heal. We're going from nostalgia bait and the yearning to be relieved of the pain of living in a life that is not as innocent or as peachy as it used to be back when we were children or teenagers or young adults or whatever, and our dashing of this hope, because we get to see a very modern take of something nostalgic, something that makes us feel like we're in the present. At the same time, those new versions of old franchises, of old beloved cultural products, attract a new fandom around them, younger viewers who are able to watch this old thing, this new version of the old thing, with fresh eyes, and so they are able to form a connection to it. Maybe they do not like the old version, maybe they feel alienated by it, So we have two fandoms of sort of liking the same thing. We have different groups liking the same thing. We have the old fans who yearn for a return to the 80s, the 90s, the oh fuck me sideways, the 2000s, and then we have a new generation coming in who are very happy with what they get. A Star Wars or a Lord of the Rings or I don't know, a Mad Max that appeals to them. And you know what, I get that because I'm one of the people who liked the latest Mad Max movie more than the old ones. So we have one fandom that has to deal with dashed hopes and pain, and also happiness at people who are able to interact with it for the first time. So that creates a lot of friction and that creates a lot of toxicity because, as I said before, there are always bad apples in fandoms, toxic people and toxic behaviors. So by focusing on reanimating the corpses of older cultural products, we actually get a very toxic fandom, a very toxic environment and culture. And what I really want to say is new takes. Not new takes, new franchises being created. Maybe franchises that obviously step on older ideas. I mean, the John Wick movies, they definitely focus on the old idea of one man taking over crime syndicates. But at the same time, it's a very modern take. It's very video gaming, which doesn't feel 80s at all. John Wick feels like a superhero movie. A superhero movie of the 2010s. But at the same time, it does get a lot of classic ideas that made 80s action movies and 90s action movies resonate with people. And that's a marriage of two different things. So yeah, we need more John Wicks and less Star Wars in order for fandoms to be healthy again, I guess. So that was my take, and I'd love to hear your opinions about it. Yes, no video for this one. I'm trying to do more video essay type of stuff, and I guess you're bored with watching my face. If you like this video, smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching.